Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bobby Waldron, and in this video we're going to be doing a new step-by-step video build here at Genesis Models of Freedom Models 1/48 scale X-47B, which is the US Navy UCAS. This is like a nice unmanned combat air system, so it's something that is actually still in development. The real aircraft is in development. Last I saw they was doing like testing for it for taking off and landing on an aircraft carrier, so it is kind of cool to kind of have one of these aircrafts that are, you know, in development and going to be coming in and everything. It does look very different and very cool. They're Freedom Models. They are a brand sort of new manufacturer out there. This was their first ever actually kit that they molded and have manufactured and released, so it is quite cool to see a new manufacturer on the block. It does look like an interesting kit. I have been having a look at it, and you know, it doesn't fit 100% perfect, shall we say. It does fit okay, but there's going to be a few little areas we're going to need to take care of. But for this step-by-step video build, this is a good kit to take an opportunity to take a look at some of the fundamentals and the basics of modelling. We haven't got to deal with a cockpit area because, you know, it's a unmanned drone, so we haven't got to kind of look into that. We haven't got to look into canopies, canopy masking, or any of those kind of things, but we can have a good look at some basic fundamental model building, spraying and weathering, all those kind of nice sort of stuff that you need to know to be able to do some modelling. Now, I did do an inbox review of this kit. It was about a year ago, so it's a little bit old. If you have seen it, just skip this next bit, but if you haven't seen it, I'm just going to throw it in this step-by-step video build now, because it's kind of like a good place to put it. But as I say, if you've already seen it, just skip past that and we'll just get straight into some building. So let's build the X-47B by Freedom Models. Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bobby Waldron. In this video we're going to have a nice inbox review of Freedom Models X-47B. Now, Freedom Models is a very new manufacturer. In fact, this is their very first model kit that they've done, so it's nice to see a new kid on the block. And as you can see, nice bunch of artwork going on here, and you know, it is an aircraft that is, you know, in the test phase and everything, so quite exciting in that respect as well. We've got a bit going around the side of the box here where it shows a few pictures. We got a bit of photo etching there. Looks like some nice decals going on as well. It's 1/48 scale. And looking rather nice. So let's just quickly open up the box and see what we get in here before you know, I open it up and we have a right good look. First off, we have first bag. Seems like good quality packaging to stop the scratching, and we've got our first big piece here, which is at the top of our fuselage section, and that's looking rather nicely packaged. Again, one bag, one sprue, which is rather nice, and this is the lower hull of it, so yeah, that is looking good as well. What else do we have here? We've got two sprues in here to one bag, and it looks like we've got weapons, wheels, bits of engines and landing gear and all our little bits. We then have another bag here with two sprues in, and this has got stuff like wings, looks like the spine of the fuselage section, flaps and all that kind of stuff. Rather nice, good packaging actually. We move along the decals. They're nicely packaged in their own little bag as well, so you know, nice packaging there. We also get what looks like to be a nice glossy high quality bit of paper here, which shows all our markings and where all our decals go. It's got colour callouts as well. Doesn't really say what type of paints, but still we've got like some colour callouts going on there. And then we have the instructions, and the instructions are like your sort of Hasegawa and Tamiya instructions, where it all folds out into one big long piece of paper rather than like a booklet. I do prefer the booklets, but you know, we'll have a closer look. And then we have a nice bit of photo etch just in here, separately bagged, in fact nicely packaged actually. This is quite a thick sort of resealable bag, so that is rather nice, but we'll have a closer look at them later. So let's start off with the instructions. Now with the instructions, you know, we do have, I think it's probably Japanese or Chinese on here, but you know, we've got this nice sort of fold out that you kind of normally get with those kind of Japanese and Chinese type companies. The paint callouts are for the Mr. Colour range, just down here, which is nice to let us know the colours, but I mean, again, when it comes to whatever colours you want to use, I'll just go for whatever's the best match. It doesn't matter what the manufacturer is. Starting off now, we don't start off with a cockpit because this doesn't have a cockpit, it's a drone. We move straight into the landing gear, which, you know, the landing gear does look rather nice, does look like there's a lot of detail going to be going in there. There's bits of photo etch going in there as well, and the instructions do seem to, you know, explain it quite clearly. And moving along, we do have air brakes, open or closed, which is a nice little touch. As for the fuselage section, I mean, it literally is, I mean, we make our air intake, engine exhaust, stick it in the middle of two fuselage half sections, and there you go, nice and easy really. And then we've got on the underside, yes, we can have movable flaps and stuff, which is rather cool to have. Turning this over, you know, the wheel well doors, I mean, normally these little hinges are already moulded on there, but with this one you have to glue them on, which if you decide to have your landing gear up, it means you haven't got to cut them all off like you would normally, but if you want the landing gear down, you know, you're gonna have to glue them all on and make sure they're all numbered up right and everything. So could be a bit tedious, but has that advantage if you want to go landing gear up. We've got some nice Bombays with some nice bombs to go in there. We also have the wing section, which is a nice option to have it wings folded or wings open, which again adds nicely to our options. So looks like it's going to go together quite nicely with nice options, and the instructions seems to get us there quite nicely. Then we move along to these decals, nicely packaged. It doesn't say who they're made by, it just has Freedom Models at the bottom, so I'm presuming that these are their decals that they've maybe made themselves. They're very kind of glossy decals, hopefully as you can see with the shininess. They do look, shall we say, nicely in registry. The smaller writing is, if you've got a magnifying glass on that, it would look a little bit blurred, but you know what, they look pretty good. Now they do feel and have that kind of feeling of being those typical Tamiya Hasegawa type decals, so you're probably going to be wanting to use micro Mr. Mark softener and set. Then we have this nice glossy paper which shows, you know, where all our decals are going to go, and the markings and colour schemes and everything. We've only got two markings here, the CVW9 and the VX9 as well, so looking quite good there. So let's get started with the plastic. Now the first piece of plastic, we have got the top hull section. Right, it's one big piece on one big sprue here to bring you in. Hopefully we can sort of get a look at what this detail's going to be like. Now if you feel it, it does feel smooth, but it does have a very kind of light tinge of being a little bit rough. Now, when I say rough, you know, don't worry, you haven't got to sand this all down. It just has that little light feel of it, but I mean, once we put a primer on and stuff, it should look rather good. Then we have our recessed panel lines and recessed rivets going on with this kit. They are deep enough to take a wash, but not too deep. They look a bit out of scale. The recessed rivets are also looking rather nice there as well. There is a strange bit going on here. Just see this little mark there? Well, what that looks like is our ejector pin mark on this side has maybe been pushed through, maybe a bit too hard or something, and it's sort of marked it here. Now, all I'm kind of feeling really is maybe this recessed panel line here could do with like rescribing out a bit, but once we sprayed over that, that should be fine, because it's not feeling or looking like it's warped or a lump. Just that recessed panel line may need a bit of a rescribe just there, but actually looking rather good. Moving along now to the bottom hull, as you can see here, again a nice big piece going on. Nothing to report on that side, but again we've got all this nice detail work. As you can see, all this recessed panel lines inside the bomb bays and wheel bays. You know, we've got some nice detail going on inside there, but if you kind of look up at the walls, I mean, maybe you could do with a bit of sprucing up there if you wanted to. And again, actually we've got this sort of marks here from the ejector pin marks, like they've been pushed out a bit too hard or something, and they've made a mark. Again, yes, 2 ejector pin marks there. Now, again, you know, you can see the mark on the plastic, but I'm looking at it, I'm not seeing any warping, I'm feeling it. It's not, it doesn't seem to be affecting it. It's just, you know, you can see it while there's no paint on it, but if by the feel of it, once you get the paint on there, you should be okay. Little tiny bit of flash going on just there, but I mean, you know, it's not too bad. Now remember, this is a brand new tool, a brand new kit. And then we come along to one of our sprues, which has got all our bits and bobs on here, wheels, we've got some bombs, air intakes and all those kind of things. So let's have a close look. Right, the wheels, they're looking rather nice. The air intakes and the exhausts, you know, they're looking quite well detailed as well. We've got these new tooled bombs as well. They're looking rather nice. We've got some more wheels here. And as we move around, I think we've got some like hinges here, but we've got some sink marks going on. Can you just see in there? We've got these little kind of holes. Those are those sink marks which we don't like to see. However, I think the way this is going to glue on there, we're going to end up covering up these sink marks, but still sink marks. And moving along, we've got all our hinges here, which do look rather nicely detailed as we go around. Now we turn this over, let's see what kind of ejector pin mark problems we might have. Yes, we've got on the hinges here, we've got ejector pin marks, one on each one of them. Moving along, the hinges look good, and actually that sprue looks good. Shouldn't really have any problems there. Then we come to our other little sprue of bits and bobs, which has got landing gear and all sorts of bits and bobs here and there. So bringing you in, we've got some sort of hinges, we've got our landing gear here, which does look rather nicely detailed, hopefully, as you can see just there. Although it looks like we have another sink mark just there. Right, but I mean, you know, hopefully we can sort of get away with that. A little bit of flash as well going on. Moving around, we've got all these, again, some little sink marks. We do seem to have these sink marks kind of cropping up here and there, which, you know, we can fill them in and sand them out, so it's no big problem. And some of the sink marks, I mean, you're probably not going to see anyway. But then if we turn this over, ejector pin marks we have just here on our landing gear, and then just here as well we have this weird sort of ejector pin mark just there. I'm pretty sure it's an ejector pin mark because this one doesn't have it this side, and this side's where all the ejector pin marks are, and it seems to be just on there like that, but still not too bad actually for a new company and a new build. Moving along, we have our sort of wing sections, and we've got like our air intake and exhaust bit here, which you know, does feel quite nice and smooth inside, but we do have these little kind of rectangular kind of like ejector pin marks, but they're rectangular. I mean, I don't know if that's like actual details, so I mean, whether we leave it or we sand it out, not quite sure. I'll have to do some research on that, but looking quite nice and smooth. We do have our wheel bay doors and everything going on here. No ejector pin marks in there, which is rather nice. Same goes for these ones as well, so that's good. And then the wing sections, you know, there isn't much detail, I do believe, on the actual aircraft, so there is quite a lot of flat spots which we're seeing here, but I mean, where there is detail, we've got nice recessed panel lines and nice recessed rivets. And then finally our last sprue, this is, I do believe, the top of the wing section maybe, or the bottom, don't quote me on that, but you know, we've got some nice detail going on here. And inside here we have where our air brakes are, and it's quite nice to see when they do recess rivets of different sizes. I mean, inside this air brake we have bigger recesses than what's on the top of the surface detail, so you know, that is good to see. Then we have some nice raised detail here for the engine exhaust, and bits of the air intake going on in here, which looks rather good as well. So you know, those are all the sprues. Oh no, we've got one more little bit. We do get some nice bit of photo etch with this, which is rather good. It feels nice and thin. It's not the thick stuff, which is just an absolute nightmare. You want it to be nice and thin. And we've got all sorts of bits of landing gear, and I think we've got I can't remember what it was for, but you know, it's a nice little touch to have that bit of photo etch in there. So looking at this kit and giving it a final score, I've decided to give it a final score of 8.5. Now 8.5 here at Genesis Models is in the above average bracket, you know, and a couple of points and it would have hit the sort of excellence if it hit 9. So you know, a really good score actually. There was a few little issues, as you could see, a few kind of sink marks, ejector pin marks, a tiny bit of flash, nothing really to write home about. No real warp marks. The surface detail was good. So yeah, it is an all-round good kit. It also looks like a good kit for a beginner as well, because without the cockpit, you know, it does look like a very simple build. So for anyone who's new to the hobby, you know, you might want to have a go at this kit, because as I say, there isn't much to it when you kind of remove the cockpit and the canopy and stuff. So you know, you haven't got to mess around with polishing up canopies and masking up canopies. You know, you can sort of you know, have a nice easy build. And what I love about this is, let's face it, I mean, this is a company that is new. It's brought out its first model, and you know, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see companies going down. We want to see new ones coming out, because it's showing that the whole hobby's growing nicely. So it's good to see that, and I think we should support them by literally going out and buying this kit, because I don't think you'd be disappointed with it. As for fit, I don't know how well the fit's going to be. I mean, I don't think many people have built this yet, so there's not much out there on the internet, but you know, looking at it, it shouldn't be too hard to do. So that's a nice 8.5. Now the cost of this kit is RRP'd at £39.99, which I don't think we're getting a bargain with this kit, and I don't think we're kind of getting overpriced, but we're it's sort of going on sort of like the fair but almost kind of going a bit overpriced, I think, because I mean really, I mean it is a drone, so you don't get the cockpit, as I say, but then you know what, it is quite a big kit. I mean really, it's quite a big aircraft really. I mean there's like the fuselage, I mean, you know, that is quite a nice size, so you are getting quite a bit of plastic for your money. And what I also love about this is that it's the only kit out there that is an X-47B, you know, a nice modern futuristic looking drone. So it is nice for them to go off and for their first build pick something that isn't actually out there. So rather good for Freedom models there. Definitely a recommended kit. I mean we're talking something like a beginner to intermediate kind of level. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully I've wet your lips on whether to get this kit or not. I do recommend it. So until the next inbox review or whatever video I do, my name is Bob Waldron, this is Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed. So let's get kick-started with getting some of these pieces off of the sprue. Now first off, you want to get yourself some pretty good cutters really, and what we want to do, the way we cut this off professionally is we don't just, well for a start you don't twist it like we used to, but you get your cutters and you don't want to kind of cut right up to the piece. You sort of want to leave, and if you need to rotate if need be. You want to sort of leave maybe about a mil of the tab sort of left on the piece and then cut. So let's just show you that again. You know, you want to sort of leave about a mil, right, and then cut. And what this does is you end up leaving a little bit of a tab sort of left over there, as you can see. Instead of, if we cut right up to the edge, there's a possibility we could actually damage the plastic, and we don't want that because then that creates all sorts of work for us. Now in this case we do have you know, quite a bit of sort of a tab, if we turn it over the other side, to sort of cut off. Now the way I sort of do it is, if we've got quite a big bit, I like to just shave it off a bit with a blade, right, but still you don't want to be sort of like cutting it all the way down. This is where we can come in with one of our skinny sticks. These skinny sticks, I got these from places like Models R Go. Pretty much a lot of the online stores out there sell these skinny sticks. They're called the Flora model skinny sticks, and that they are really good actually. They come in lots of different grits and whatnot, but I'm just using sort of like a quite a heavy grit on this bit, because this side is the side we're going to glue, it's not the side we're going to see. So I can just like really quickly sand that tab back right to the end, so it's nice and flush. Right, we don't want to sand it too much. We might have a little bit of so-called fluff the other side, but I'll just remove that with my nail. And as you can see, that has left our piece very much nice, clean, no marks, no cuts or anything that's going to sort of deface our surface detail. So you want to remove all your pieces like that. Right, with that now all trimmed up, this nice little wing here is a good example of how to sort of like get some basic modelling done. Now with this particular kit, this doesn't happen a lot, but the little pins that are inside here that sort of aligns things up nicely, they are not fitting in there too well, to be honest with you. They are sort of like pushing it out and sort of leaving a bit of a gap. If we bring you in, just getting like a little bit of a gap there. It is quite easily resolved. I mean, all we've got to do is get, say, a little hand drill, and you know, there's just a 1mm drill bit inside there, and all we've got to do is we're just sort of, we're not going to drill all the way through. We don't want to damage the surface of our model, but we are just very sort of lightly making this hole a little bit wider, so to speak, so it can take those little notches that are on the other side a lot easier and nicer. So there's 4 all together, and hopefully now what should happen is, if we sort of bring this together, you should see that that gap there now has just like literally completely disappeared, and we haven't really got any problems. Okay, there's a little bit of another one up there, so we can always just quickly come back and drill that out a little bit more, just to sort that out, get it orientated properly. And there we go, that's looking a lot better now. So when it comes to gluing this together, we're going to be using Tamiya extra thin cement, which is basically a welding glue. It melts the two pieces of plastic, not glues them like super glue does. You know, this actually melts both sides of the piece of plastic, brings them together, oozes together, and just literally melts and mixes, and it just, yeah, it's a really good way of getting a very, very strong bond. Now what I'm going to just do is I'm just going to go around to each of our little holes that we've just drilled here and just give them a little bit of this Tamiya extra thin cement, right, because sometimes we can't quite get to them, right. And what we're going to do, all we're going to do is actually bring these two pieces of plastic together like so, making sure it's all lining up nicely. Now as you can see just here, one end of this is like sort of all nicely together, but this end's sort of coming out, so coming out with some washing line pegs to just bring that together. Maybe come in on it a bit, maybe get more at the tip. Right, now with the Tamiya extra thin cement, it isn't a case of applying the glue and then bringing the two pieces of plastic together. It's a case of bringing the two plastic pieces together and then running the glue down the join line. Right, just like so. This way, you know, it's sort of what basically happens is the Tamiya extra thin cement is like really thin, thinner than water, and it just seeps into all those nooks and crannies, gets into the seam line, and you know, it does all its work inside there. So again, you know, we can just touch the seam line, it will just flow all the way along, and whenever you feel like there's the piece is sort of not joining up so well, you know, there's no problem in coming along. Or if you feel like you just want to give it a bit of strength, just get one of those pegs, get them in there, glue that down. Now when we come to these edges, right, what you want to do, you don't want to be gluing this in a way that the Tamiya extra thin cement could sort of run down, and maybe, you know, you put your thumb there and it kind of leaves a big nasty thumbprint. You want gravity to sort of, you want the Tamiya extra thin cement to run with the gravity. So if we use the side of the brush, right, we can just run this down, and because I'm holding the piece so that gravity will only pull it down instead of gravity, it's going to bring you out a little bit, instead of say gluing it this way and then a drip of it comes down, goes on your thumb. So again, maybe remove, it's okay if you need to remove a peg now and then just to sort of get in there. Again, using gravity to bring it down and the capillary action to get in there. Replace that peg. I'm just running this in and all around, and that is actually a rather good join all the way along there. So just while our wing cue is just drying, I have cut off some more pieces here, which we have our exhaust and air intake system. It's all one piece, which is rather cool, so we can just work on them. And if we bring you in, the problem we've got here is at the back here we have these ejector pin marks. Hopefully as you can see there, I have done some test fitting and everything, and you can see them rather easily. So we're going to want to take care of these ejector pin marks. They are sort of sinking in, so what I want to do is a bit of our green putty just here, right, and a little spatula, get a bit of it on the end, and then all we're going to do is just sort of spread this on, right. I mean, this is only like really shallow. I mean, you could potentially just sand it out without doing the filling, but you know, it doesn't hurt to just quickly whack some filler in there. And then I do believe there's another little bit, like a rectangular shaped one just here. We also want to take care of that one because that one's quite visible as well. There are more inside here. There's one here, one there. You can take care of them if you want, but for just, you know, a nice easy, you know, quick bit of sanding, those are the ones that are the most visible. The others, you'd really have to sort of get in there with torches and everything to kind of like see them. So I'm personally not going to worry about them. So we want to leave all this now to dry.